Good evening, USA! And we're fixing to get real up in the house tonight. Our special guest is Jermine Allison. We're going to wait for a few minutes and get some people in here. You guys go ahead and share it out. And in the meantime, we'll have a little bit of music from... We don't own the rights to the music.
Hey lady, once I was blind, but now I see. Hey lady, yeah.
Hey Max, how you doing? Eric?
There's nothing we can
Go ahead and share this out.
And when the angels start falling, never look away. Drop to our knees, girl, and then we pray.
Tonight's special guest is going to be Jermine Allison, Mr. Fixable Inc. himself. We're going to wait a few minutes for some folks to come in.
They say you never supposed,
and then we'll get started. Hey Max, how you doing tonight?
There's nothing we can say. No. But when the rain starts falling, washing those tears away, Lord, can you promise me some better days? Some better days.
Hey Joseph. Joseph, you might want to back out and come back in.
I think about you all the time. Hey lady, yeah. It's too late to change your mind.
Yep, Tennessee whiskey.
The man is called. There's nothing we can say. No. When
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get this show started. Go ahead and share it out. We're going to have Jermine Allison as soon as he comes on. We'll pop him into the feed. And we're going to have some real talk about some of the things going on in his community and what he's doing to try to fix it. So in the meantime, the news, I guess if you live in the deserts of New Mexico and run a terrorist camp and teach kids to shoot people up and have ceremonies that kill children, you get let out on a signature bond, and then 3 of them, just all the charges were dropped altogether. Two judges allowed this to happen. And of course, apparently the prosecution dropped the ball too, so I have to wonder what's going on in New Mexico, people. One of them is supposedly, one of the ladies is supposedly an illegal, so why she's still in the country, I don't know. Something about 10-day limits for speedy trials or indictments or anything like this. Why the federal government hasn't stepped in with Homeland Security on this, I'll never know. But for some reason, they get special. You know, if it had been you, me, or anyone else, we would have been in jail and we wouldn't have been released and there wouldn't have been signature bonds. So I don't even know what to say about our justice system anymore. It's just completely broken. Is completely broken. Some people get a pass and other people get the book thrown at them. So I don't understand what's going on with that. Hey, Jolene, how are you doing? Good to see you here tonight. Go ahead and share this out. We should be getting the kid in here soon. I just don't even know what to say. I do not know what to say at all. Big news on Clinton. Evidently it was China that hacked the Clinton servers. And all those emails, even the ones she erased, are sitting in some computer in Beijing. So I'm wondering if and when we'll get that. I'm wondering if and when anything will be done about it. Evidently something like 22 spies for the CIA were killed because of these leaks. So people actually died because she had to have her secret server. And of course, the infamous Barack Obama did know about it, had emails on the same server. My question is, okay, we figured this out a long time ago. When are you going to do something about it? That's my big question. I have no clue. We keep finding out all this stuff. All it's doing is getting people upset and getting them mad. Are we going to do anything about it? That is my question. I have no clue. None at all. People who follow Q. What is Q? Who is Q? Is Q real? Hey, Cindy, how are you doing? It's putting out a lot of stuff, and if you look at the stuff, okay, there's some you might question. There's some that, you know, is open source information, so is it really breaking news, or is it something that we couldn't have found with about 2 minutes of research? No. There are some stuff that make you go, You wonder where they got it from. But he keeps predicting and has been predicting, or they have been predicting for months now, you know, enjoy the show, stay the course. Things are going to happen, and every week people get all excited and hyped up about it, and we're not seeing anything going on. So I'm not sure, not even sure what to think about that. Robert Lawless, welcome to the show. We are waiting on Jermine to come on board so we can bring him into the show. Jermine, when you get on, just send me a message here so I'll know. I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to think. It seems certain people are immune from prosecution. Those would be the globalist elite, like Clinton, like Barack Obama, like Comey, like the upper echelons in the FBI that are walking free. Lois Lerner walked free with her golden umbrella and pension that we, the people, are paying for the rest of their lives. Then, of course, we have the death of McCain. And the fact that he managed to, even though he was ill for so long, and the people in his district went without representation because he was unable to serve the people because of his illness, but managed to stay in office long enough to ensure that they would not have to have a special election and risk and the GOP had something to do with this too. What they wanted to do was make sure that they did not risk that seat going to a Democrat. So even though he could not serve his function and do his job, they kept him on until there was no chance of there being a special election, so that now at this point, someone has to be appointed to fill the position for the next 2 years. Okay? All because they wanted to make sure somebody stayed in power. The people in his district went without representation for what? How long has he been sick? Now there's talk that they want to appoint his wife. Hi, Alice. Welcome to the show. We're just waiting on Jermine to get in here. As soon as he gets in, we'll bring him on. Beth, hello. Now there's talk of appointing his wife, who is unqualified, who will probably just continue his agenda of fighting Trump. There are others that have been in the political realm for a lot longer with a lot more experience. Hello, Jolene. We are trying to get a hold of people are calling the governor of Arizona now to try to keep that from happening. I don't know what's going to happen there, but we may end up with the wife of McCain in to take his place, which is once again a wasted seat. All because of political party wanting to keep power. So I don't even know what to say about that. Hogg is in the news again. He is threatening Smith & Wesson with a boycott, which is laughable. Think about this. He says, if you don't pay us $5 million, I think it's a year, for anti-gun legislation in education, then we are going to boycott you, and then we're going to harm you with love. Okay, let's break this down a little bit for the young grasshopper. He's going to call on his minions that do not buy guns, that are against guns, that have never owned guns, that never will own guns, to boycott Smith & Wesson, who sells guns. Okay, there's a whole lot more gun owners out there. A whole lot more gun owners out there than there are non-gun owners. And these people never bought guns in the first place, so boycotting, what are they boycotting? They never purchased anything from Smith & Wesson. And need we remind young grasshopper that the boycott against Chick-fil-A kind of backfired. So he needs to go on with his bad self and go on with his non-existent boycott that these people who are going to be performing the boycott would never buy guns anyway. So it's really not a loss in sales. This is a kid who labeled himself as the hero of Parkland, the survivor of the school shooting, who was not there when it happened, had to get on his bicycle and pedal hard to get there so he could get the news and get the interviews and get his 15 minutes of fame. I doubt seriously that he gives a crap about any of it. He's building a brand. He was trying to build a brand before this happened. Never let a good crisis go to waste. He'll be the perfect Democratic politician. And for some reason, he's been emboldened and can go around and threaten major companies, or can we say blackmail? I think that's against the law. So, if his grasshopper doesn't make you Master Poe, I don't know. It's getting ridiculous. It truly is. The kid never was even at the school. He was not harmed by this. He's a puppet. He's a puppet of the globalist, and being used. And so now he's going to threaten companies with boycotts that will never happen, that will actually backfire, because you know what? A lot of us gun owners will be spending a lot of money at Smith & Wesson. Because you're not going to take our guns. Just not going to happen. And if we need any more proof as to why that cannot happen, then we need only to look at New Mexico and the compound that was uncovered there, where they were teaching children to go in and shoot up schools. Did we hear anything from Boss Hogg on that? Not a peep. Not a peep. Did we hear anything when they let those people go? Not a peep. These people will end up going in the wind. And they actually had a plot to attack Grady Hospital here in Atlanta, Georgia. A hospital that serves the indigent in the area. That does a lot of good work in the area. They had a plot to attack that hospital. Now these people are going to end up in the wind. They won't get caught the next time. They'll be a little more careful about getting caught. And if something happens, it's because 2 judges and some prosecutors decided they were special and that we need to give them a break. And they'll have blood on their hands. But we didn't hear anything from Boss Hogg on that one. Or Grasshopper, or whatever you want to call him. So, some of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is Jermine is in the Illinois area. About 2 hours from Chicago. And in his neighborhood, they're closing down grocery stores. We're talking about urban areas where there are food deserts, believe it or not. Where you can buy plenty of liquor, you can buy plenty of cigarettes, you can buy all the junk food in the world, but you can't get fresh vegetables. Where you can't get healthy food. And then I believe not too long ago they closed down a grocery store in his neighborhood. Where, you know, black-owned businesses are few and far between in black neighborhoods. So we're going to be talking about some of the things there and what's going on, and it's going to be real. Hello, Heather. And it's going to be raw, and we talked this morning on the phone, and we probably could have talked the rest of the day. So we are waiting on him to come on. And in the meantime, we'll take some questions. Oh, that numpty, now I know who you mean. You're talking about Hog? Little boy Hog? Rick Scott won the GOP for the Senate down in Florida. I guess Florida had a great turnout for their midterm elections, which is good. Sadly, Rick Scott will probably go to the Senate, but let's remember what Rick Scott did after the Parkland shooting, and that is that he caved to the gun control folks and helped pass some more useless laws that aren't going to save anyone and actually are going to be more harm than good because criminals don't follow laws. Okay. Who else did we get? We still got back in all the usual candidates down there in South Florida. All the ones that were hooked up into the whole Clinton debacle in the elections in 2016. So evidently those will stay Democrat. We have another person that won the Democratic position for governor. And again, here we go with the first black man to win a major party for governor in the state of Florida. Okay, how about we cut out the first? How about we go with, hey, this guy has a good platform. He's going to serve the people of Florida well. He's experienced. But no, we're not going to do that. We're going to put labels. We're going to separate. And then we're going to do things like when the Republican candidate who won the primary says something about monkeying up the government, all of a sudden that becomes a racist slur against the Democratic Socialist. And so that makes the news. So now you can't use terms like monkeying up or throwing a monkey wrench in or doing anything like that because that's racist. So we knew that was going to happen, and that's probably the way this whole battle between those two in Florida will go. One side will be saying you're racist, and the other side will be walking on eggshells making sure they don't say anything that might remotely be construed as racist. And this is what we need to stop. We need to stop allowing the powers that be, the globalist elite, the ones who want us separated, want us fighting each other, want us at each other's throat. We need to turn off mainstream media, which is nothing more than the propaganda arm for these globalist elite, the rulers, The ones who want to keep us on a plantation, and yeah, they want to keep us all on the plantation. We need to turn it off. We need to start talking to each other. We've seen time and time again when the chips are down, how we come together, how we help each other. Look at the hurricanes we had last year. Who were the first responders? Who were the real first responders? It was we, the people. It was people in the Cajun Navy. It was your neighbors. It was your family. It was your friends. It was people from other states trucking in supplies that they had gathered up at their churches, at their organizations to bring in and help the people in these areas. The Cajun Navy worked 24/7, pulling people out of houses and taking them to safety. Their pets. They didn't look at race or gender or anything like that. It was neighbors helping neighbors, and this is what we need to get back to, but you know the government doesn't like that. Because if we are self-sufficient, and if we are working together, and if we were helping each other, then they can't control us. They want us dependent on them. It keeps them in power. And it keeps us on the plantation, all of us. And we need to get away from that. We need to stop the division. Oh crap, we lost sound. Don't start without me. Oh, I'm still waiting on Jermine. He should be here shortly. Rat's gonna have to reboot. Yeah. So far, so good. We're doing good here. I might just give him a call and see if we can't get him on the phone here. So hang on just a minute. Hey Philip, how are you doing? Exactly, Philip. You should never be having your hand out unless you're helping someone out. And we need to get back to that. You know, it used to be before we had the social safety net, churches and organizations and neighbors helped each other.
I'm logging in right now. Just got off work.
Okay. We'll see you in a few.
Yeah, I'm coming right now.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, Jermine just got off work, and he's coming on here in just a minute. But it used to be when we didn't have the social safety net, we did just fine. You know, think about it. Why would anybody work if they know they can get something for free? And that's what we have going on today. But it's working against us. Nothing's free, let me tell you. You think it's free. You think you're sitting back and they're paying your bills and they're paying for your food and they're paying for your house and you're living good, right? Don't have to work, don't have to do nothing. Well, let me tell you what. Ain't nothing in this world free. You have just become slaves and they have become the rulers. And you will pay the price for that because nothing's free. You lose your freedoms. You lose choices. They tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. That's what all that free stuff gets you. It's an illusion. It's an illusion, people. And we need to get away from it. And we need to say no to it. And we need to remember those times, like after 9/11, how we came together as a country. How we all worked together, did what we had to do. Those people who gave their lives rushing into those towers to save people, they didn't go in there saving, well, I'm only going to save black people or I'm only going to save white people. No. Everybody rushed in and did what they had to do. Okay? When the hurricanes hit, who were the first on the scene? It was your neighbors. It was people from other states. It was the Cajun Navy. We need to get back to that. Anytime you depend on the government for anything, there is a payment that must be made. And that payment is a loss of freedom and a loss of control over your lives. And that needs to stop. That needs to stop. So we'll be with Jermine here in just a few minutes, and we'll be talking about that. And we'll be talking about how in an urban city environment you could have a food desert. Hey Jermaine, how are you doing? Let me see, I'm waiting for you to pop up here. Let's see. You got your camera on, dear? Let's see here what we're doing. Waiting for you to pop up on the top so I can invite you. Let's see here. Okay. I am relatively new to this, so I'm waiting to see how I can pull him in. He's not showing up at the top here. Do you have your camera on, Jermine? Okay. Huh. I'm not seeing you up at the top here. Let's see. Seeing Kim. Let's see here. And it says your camera's on. Alright. It's not letting me invite you in, Jermine. Yeah, I see you're here. I see you're here. I'm just not able to get you in on the live feed. Let's see here. Hold on. Yep, it's not showing you that I can add you yet. All right. Okay. There we go. We're waiting for you to come on board.
There we are.
Adding.
Me, can you see?
Hey, Jermine. Yeah.
Hello.
There we go.
Uh-oh. How we doing? How we doing today?
How's it going?
It's going. It's going. How about yourself?
Oh, we're doing good. Busy day outside. It rained a little bit, but I was able to get a few things done out there playing with my bees. And of course, they gave me a few love taps. But that's what happens when you're playing with bees. So let's talk about what's going on, what you're doing up there in your neighborhood, what Fixable Inc. is about, and why in the hell do we have food deserts in the city?
Well, that's a good question.
I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. How's everyone tonight? Well, I want to talk about Fixable Inc. Fixable Inc.'s an organization I decided to start generational wealth to my family and my community after President Trump became elected. When he threw his hat in the ring, I just thought it'd be a good idea to actually encourage each other to create our own industries, create our own distribution companies. Overnight success never lasts long. So it's going to take some time, community, to get it done. And that's pretty much what I stand for. I stand for reaching one and teaching one, re-educating the thought process about where we are in our society. We're all brothers and sisters, mother and fathers, Mother Nature and Father Time. So as far as the question, why in the heck are there food deserts in Illinois when we have $1 million lottery take, $2 million lottery take? It's simple. They set it up this way in order for foreigners to come over with a long line of credit from their native land, set up shops in our communities, no nutritional value with food, hot Cheetos, sugar, the number one cause of diabetes in ebony Americans. So they do that because I'm an American. I'm not an African American. They can't deport me. You see, they make me jump through loops or whatever. But it's simple. It has everything to do with the powers to be. They set it up this way from day one, from the beginning. We all beat the pavement about what the problem is. My question is, what's the solution? And my solution to that problem was create our own industries, create our own empires. Fixable Inc. You see. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm gonna put you on here so I can hear a little bit better.
Okay.
And so the violence in Chicago. You're
Okay.
about 2 hours from Chicago.
Yes, ma'am.
What in the world is going on? And does marching down Lakeshore Drive really bring attention to what's going on in the neighborhood? Shouldn't we be marching down the neighborhood streets telling these people that we're just not going to have this anymore? We got to get right. We got to fix this. We got to make it safe for our kids to play in the streets. We got to be looking at ways where we can improve things. How do you fight that?
Well, you hit the nail right on the head. We have to get to the communities. But in order for us to get to the communities, we have to get to the education system. The educational system is broken. They don't care about our protests. They don't. We have the right to do it, but are we doing it for the right reasons? Marching on Lakeshore Drive, it proves nothing. You have a lot of people that are afraid to go to the inner cities. They're afraid to march in those communities. A guy like me walk into that community with a Make America Great Again hat on, immediately I'm treated like the outcast when all I want to do is educate why we should not just vote Trump, but not vote Democrat. The Democratic Party has this ability to smokescreen and bamboozle not just the ebony American communities, but they've bamboozled us all. The bottom line is in Chicago, the reason you have a high rate of murder and crime is because we have leaders, poor leadership. Okay, Mike Madigan, he's a crook. You've got, what's his name? Rob Emanuel, he's another crook. What they decided to do, see, people don't understand. Mike Madigan is a monopoly player. He has locked down downtown area of Chicago. And in that contract he signed, he owns 80% of it. In that contract, what they decided to do was to tear down the projects. There were Henry Horner, Pagrini Green. They tore them down and they moved everyone to the suburbs. The houses, the homes that the people were living in the suburbs, they just give them to the low income community. Now it's a Section 8 home. Now they've built apartments downtown closer to, so the people who work can get there without passing, the criminal element. But the biggest mistake that they made was dropping gangster disciples, vice lords. You've got Latin kings, El Rukins, all living now in communities where people own their property. Yes, they own property, they own their homes, but now you have a criminal element inside their communities. Who's going to tell on a criminal? You know what happened in the city of Chicago. It's no different than the suburbs. It's even worse now. And then you put police officers in the community that don't understand the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we're taught.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are taught to be afraid and hate the cops. You don't like police. I support law enforcement, the good cops. Accountability is missing. It's lacking. The leadership in Chicago has no accountability factor. They won't hold the Chicago PD accountable, and the community has to hold themselves accountable as well. That's the bottom line.
And well, and why not, why aren't they stepping up and putting on the uniform themselves? They have a lot of complaints about the police. How many of them are stepping up and putting on that uniform and coming back and serving their community? How many can? How many are willing to do that? You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. When I was growing up, I used to want to be a firefighter. I used to want to be a police officer. I'm from a Democratic background. My entire family votes Democrat. This was the first time I voted outside of my element. Why? Because it's time. Another problem we're having is the lack of education. What they're teaching in schools, it's not what people are going to use when they graduate. You have to teach economic balance. You have to teach economic empowerment, ownership. You have to teach how to budget finances. You can have all the money in the world. If you can't budget correctly, then again, you're going to fall into the democratic system of working for the democratic plantation, bottom line. And then we use race as a big problem. All the police are racist. All of them are racist. Well, why, like you said, why don't you go and become a police officer? My aunt was a police officer. She was also in the courts. So I have an understanding of where we are and where we need to be. We need to begin to teach a different form of education. We have to prepare these children for the real world. We have to put craftsmanship back into schools. The reason they took it out is to keep you dumbed down and dependent on the system. If you won't abide by our rules, then we'll come in and forcefully make you do it with crooked cops, crooked politicians, lack of jobs. And then they icing on the cake with racism, segregation, hate. The only race is the human race, and the only segregation is a financial segregation. If you're not on
yes,
the
and see, that's something we talked about earlier. We have a class war. This race war has been created by those in power to keep us divided so that we're easier to rule so that they can keep in power. Absolutely. They don't want us getting along. They don't want us working together. They don't want us thinking for ourselves. So they pit us against each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's worked like a charm because, again,
yes, it has.
It's what we are taught. Bottom line, the way I was raised to love everyone. I was raised to judge a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I also am aware that there are a bunch of, I don't call white people white. I call you peach. I call you American. I call you clear. There are a multitude of peach people out there who will support me before my own class of people. If you want to keep a class of people dumbed down, if you don't want them to learn something, put it in a book. They'll never read it. Does that make sense? Read it.
Yeah, it does.
They'd rather turn the television on and believe what they hear. Because I am a free thinker and chose to walk my own beat and love from my own heart. I am the enemy. I'm the infidel. You understand? But it matters nothing to me as long as my message and what I stand for generates happiness, positivity, and the ability to reach one and teach one. We can't stop, despite the color of your skin, despite the next person who doesn't think we should be talking right now. We're making moves.
Yes, we should.
Education is the key.
Because, when it comes right down to it, we have more in common than we have between us.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct.
We really do. But we've been, hate is something that's taught. It's not something that's natural. When those little babies come out and they're playing with each other on the playground, there's no hate there.
No.
The hate comes when they're taught to hate. On both sides.
Absolutely.
On both sides. And we need to get past that. We need to start working together. So what are you doing in the cities? What is your plan? You're Mr. Fixable Inc. What is your plan? Are we talking, urban gardens, black-owned businesses,
That's
more education? What kind of things are you going to be working with through Fixable Inc?
well, I'm a parent, and the most important thing to me is my children and my grandchildren. The future is where we are. We can plant all the gardens we want. We can open up all the black-owned businesses as we like. What I would like to do, what I would like to propose to Peoria, to the educational system of Peoria, in order for us to be successful in mounting up and building what we need as far as gardens, our own black-owned businesses. First, we have to get a black-owned bank. You have to have a credit union. You have to have somewhere to put your money. But before we can do any of that, we have to restructure the education. We have to teach economic empowerment. We teach ownership. My proposal is we have a class. You start out in 8th grade. And this is not just your average business class. This class here will prepare you step by step for things that may happen when you graduate. Having a baby, buying a car. Do you have money saved up for retirement? What happens if your car breaks down? See, a lot of people in Black communities, we spend. You don't save more than you spend. You can never get ahead that way. Majority of the people are not owners because you weren't taught to own things. We have to start with the teaching. Our teachers are underpaid. And the most importantly, we have to start at home. We have to teach these things in the house before you send your child out to an underpaid person who doesn't even want to be there to begin with.
Exactly.
So the garden, it's a great thing. But can you imagine starting a garden in a neighborhood where people know nothing about a nutritional value chart? No, they'll steal all your tomatoes. Because it's not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them. You have to teach ownership. It starts in teaching. The bottom line. We can't move forward unless we restructure education. They spend millions and thousands of dollars to go to college to, work in a field that they didn't even get a degree in. But then they're more in debt than they were before they even started. It's a deterrent. The program
And many of them can't find a job afterwards. I mean, seriously.
Exactly.
Why are we going and spending all that money, putting ourselves into debt for, let's say, a Bachelor in Arts degree? What does that do for you? What does that do for your community? Does that bring anything back to the community? A lot of them are sitting around and they're working regular jobs because they can't get a job and they're so in debt. And then that once you're in debt, that cycle is continues and only gets worse.
It's never ending. You're paying back the student loans. Now you
owe the company store.
There you go. Then you got pregnant. Okay. Now what's going to happen to you? Okay. Then what we teach is, yes, you have to work and pay your taxes. When you get your tax money, what do? You go out and you buy a car. Now you're making monthly payments. We're not teaching, you don't need that monthly payment. What you need to do is buy you a clunker or a car that'll get you from point A to point B. We have to structure payments. We have to structure our lives. We live like tomorrow's never going to come. And when it does, we're not prepared. That is what we need to teach in schools.
How many of us in all of our communities are one paycheck away from homelessness?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Something breaks down. Your car breaks down, you can't get to your job. Guess what? You're going to lose your job. Okay, then how are you going to pay your bills? If someone gets sick or gets hurt, how are you going to pay your bills?
I mean, your kid needs braces. We all go through it, and we've allowed the system to teach us how to get a job, but they're not teaching us where the money comes from, how to obtain it and have residual money. If you have the money, we have to teach our youth how to turn your money into residual money, how to say I don't need that car payment. Not this time. Maybe if I do it right, next time I can get that. Now I own two
Right.
cars. Now you have something tangible instead of renting. We're teaching, okay, find a job. Now you're going to go rent a house. Okay, if your child's living with you, you're not letting them pay rent. Why don't you explain to them how to get their own? Okay, you're going to stay with me. We're going to take part of your pay. You're going to be able to live, but we're going to take part of your pay and we're going to put it away. We're going to put it up. No one's living for retirement. How do you do it? How do these people living on public aid? Where's your retirement fund? What are you going to do? We're not teaching that in school. Why? Because they want us dependent on them. And then the Democrats want to give you everything. They say, "Oh, we'll just give them everything." That's not the way you do it. That's not the that's not the America I remember. It's not.
Nope. And that doesn't empower anyone.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
You know, they talk about, you know, doing more for the Black community and empowering the Black community. Well, welfare and food stamps and poor education systems is not empowering anyone.
Absolutely.
It's keeping you down.
You know,
and you're right though. It starts at home. You know, when you were young, I know if I messed up in school, someone was meeting me at the door because they already heard about it by the time I got home, and I knew my butt was in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I had a father who sat me down with the newspaper and taught me how to read with the newspaper. You know, and we had dinner time conversations. We all ate dinner together. We talked about things. And I'd say, well, everybody else is doing it. Why can't? Well, you're not everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You had that at home. And you knew that there were consequences if you didn't toe the line, because education was important. Doing the right thing was important. Making your own way was important. Yes. And that was something to be proud of. My father never bought anything on credit except for the house. Okay. Because who's got that kind of money? But if he wanted a new car, he saved for it and bought it cash. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't no credit cards. I don't think my dad even had a credit card. Because if you couldn't pay for it, you didn't need it. That was his philosophy.
You didn't have it. You know, and credit it's the taboo. No one talks about credit score.
It's the chains of the plantation.
That's it. If you take the ability for a society to create their own opportunities, then you know you're no longer the oppressor. You can't be the oppressor and oppressor at the same time. Therefore, they won't teach us about a credit score. I know a lot of people who will obviously actually put their bills in their kid's name, not knowing you've just screwed your child for life.
For the rest of their life.
Paying your bills. You're not paying the bill on time. Credit is something that no one wants to discuss. And it doesn't exist in certain areas of life. And welfare and impoverished areas, it's not just a Black thing. This is a global thing. This is a universal thing. The only struggle we have here is the economic struggle. If everybody on the planet had wealth, there still would be murders. There would still be crime. Okay, so I see it as if you work for something, it makes you feel a lot better inside once you obtain it. If you're given something, in the back of your mind, eventually I got to pay it back. It's not yours, So we have to begin to teach.
Nothing's free.
Nothing is for free. Freedoms are not free. Sovereignty, everything we have today, we fight for, and we're going to continue to fight. I was blessed to have a wonderful family, the Allison family. My grandfather played the blues, okay? When he got into the blues, he couldn't even read music. He was taken advantage of by record labels, but he never quit. He took his skill, and he also worked at Caterpillar. He left Caterpillar and decided, I didn't want to be a part of this Democratic plantation or whatever his thought process was. He created a name not only for himself, but for my entire family. And right behind him became my Uncle Bernard. And you know what he told my uncle? He said, well, you could play. It doesn't mean anything if you don't get an education. So you're going to go to school. You're going to get your education. And that he did. And now look at him. He's doing what he wants. He owns his own things, you know, and that's my motivation. That's what I have. Your last name, your name is your legacy. What you bring into this world is, I'm rich. I'm rich with the family I have because we know that nothing can stop us. Never underestimate the power of an Allison. Don't ever do it. You know?
No,
we all have
no.
You've got to get down to get up. And if a lot of people don't realize you've been beat down so far, when are you going to start to look up? Everyone asks for help. A plane has come, a helicopter has come, a boat has come, and you're still praying to Jesus to save you. He sent you all the vessels to get away, but you're still there. The reason you stay is because you pass up opportunities often repeatedly. POOR. We have to stop doing that. Stop passing the buck and take some responsibility for our own actions. That's
right. We've got to stop saying it's everybody else's fault. Because in this day and age, honestly, the only thing holding anyone back is their mind.
That's it.
And what they've allowed to be pumped into their mind and what they've allowed themselves to believe.
Absolutely.
You need to look past the 10-second sound bites on the mainstream propaganda arm of the globalist media. You need to look past the 140 characters of a Twitter or a tweet. Open a book. You know, when I first started doing stuff on the net, I did it as a writer because I'm a reader. I have a whole room that's a library. I've always read. Books have always been my step up. I've been able to go places and open my mind to things through books.
Right.
So that's how I grew up. But people don't read. So now we have to do live streams. So I've had to adapt to getting, you know, put my face out there and going on live.
Right.
Because it's important that we all get our message out there, however we can.
However we can.
But
You're absolutely right.
You know, you used to have the family support, but I miss those days. You know.
Well, we've allowed
the times when you could ask your grandma and grandpa, well, or they taught you things and passed down knowledge through the generations and taught you that way. Okay? We don't have that anymore. Yeah, and we have we have children having children.
Exactly.
Who are just limiting themselves right off the bat.
We've allowed politics. We've allowed politics to divide our homes. We've allowed children to dictate the pace of where we go as a society. When I was coming up, every member of my family had the right to kick my ass when I did something wrong.
Yeah.
I know. I know for a fact there's no one on this planet that could kick my ass worse than my uncle, my aunt, my mom, my granny, anybody. With that,
grandma and grandpa, oh Lord, if they got hold of you, you were in trouble then. Woo.
She was a professional. She was a professional ass whooping. And it wasn't about the ass whooping, it was about what she was teaching you as you were getting disciplined. It wasn't just a beat, now go away. They were talking to you about what you did, even though you knew what you did. And then you made damn sure you wasn't going to do it again. Now, everyone's in their little soft space, in their safe spaces. Oh, you can't whoop a kid or you'll go to jail. That is another thing.
There's no consequences.
There's no consequences to anyone's action. So therefore, you have a disgruntled society. If you held the parents accountable for the bullshit, I guarantee it will stop. You can't expect for the police to police your children. You can't even fucking control them. You understand? You have to kill it at home. Bottom line, you can't expect for the teachers to teach you your child shit. You can't expect the neighbor to do it. If you are not willing to do it yourself, that's it. children having children.
The
and
biggest
I
lie
saw
out
this
there was
video,
it
a
takes a
little lady.
village to raise a child. That's the problem. The village has gotten a hold of your child. You don't relegate raising your child to the village. You raise that child yourself. The village is screwing your child right now.
Oh yeah.
that saying just
You
always
know, the only way
irritated
the
me.
village, yeah, the only way the village screws your child is if you screw your child. If you send your damn to the village with a lack of understanding, respect, you know, accountability, of course he will be taken advantage of. Of course he'll be robbing your neighbor because you have no accountability. You see, and it's simple. The solution is simple. We get back to the things that made me love, you know, family first, education, God,
Yep.
community. People, I'm not afraid to talk to people. A lot of people are afraid to talk to their neighbor, to a stranger in the street, because you can't trust anymore. We have to teach trust again. We just have to. We have to stop depending on government to raise our children. They're gonna lock them up. And then what you gonna do? You're gonna be spending the money you don't have, sending money on his books, visiting them. It's not fair. And just stop. We have to pull back and restructure education. Home first, then schools. Teach them at home. When they go to school, my kid can learn because your kid's not being a dumbass. I was a class clown
And then
too.
hold that school
My mother,
accountable. When something's going wrong that you don't like, you make the time to go in there and talk to those teachers. Go to that
oh,
school
I
board
hated when
meeting
my
and say,
mother,
whoa, no, y'all aren't doing this.
oh yes, I hated when my mother showed up to a PTA meeting because she had a belt in her purse and a Louisville Slugger in her back pocket. She was crying, you know.
Yeah, I remember that belt.
You know, I made the straight F honor roll a
Yep.
couple of times. But it didn't stop me from,
No,
you know,
that a C
not
was
gonna tell you,
unacceptable in my house.
a C was unacceptable, a damn near B was unacceptable because you could do better. If you find a
Yeah.
child that's not trying and you say, oh, you could do better, what's wrong with kids today is everybody thinks you're a winner. We tell our kids, oh, you no matter what you do, you're gonna be number one. No, you have to strive to be that.
You got to work.
You know, you got to work for it. Number two is the first loser. That's it. That's it. Nobody, not everybody's going to
That's it.
win.
There's nothing wrong with winning. We got to start telling our kids you want to win. There's nothing wrong with winning. The biggest mistake we've ever made is giving everybody a trophy for showing up. Because, you know, in the real world, not everybody gets that trophy. What happens when you've spent your whole life, okay, take for instance the shooter at that gaming thing. He lost the game, so he couldn't handle it. He spent his whole life getting a trophy for showing up. What's he do? He takes out a gun and shoots people. That's what giving everybody a trophy for showing up does for you.
I guarantee
it's okay
you
to win.
That's what he was taught. He was sat at home with his family playing. When somebody took all his money, he flipped the board over and they gave him a hug for it. Oh, it's okay. We'll play again. You win. Fuck that. You lost. Now pick these pieces up before I kick your ass. You know?
And think about what you're going to do the next time to make it better. What can you learn?
Exactly.
We need to teach people to learn from their losses. A loss is not bad. A loss is a learning experience. You know what I'm saying? It's not. You learn from it, and you do better the next time.
If you don't
and
make
this now we can't have competition because somebody's feelings might get hurt. Well, let me tell you, out in the real world, there's competition. If you don't prepare your kids for it now when they're young, you're setting them up for failure.
Absolutely.
When they get out there, get out in that real world. So it starts at home. You know, I remember learning how to cook when I could step on the chair, and my grandma had me cooking breakfast on the stove. One of the first things I made was scrambled eggs. You know, we don't teach. I mean, how many people in any community nowadays even cooks? What do? They go to the fast food.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's easy. It's convenient. You know, it's pure laziness. There's no nutritional value food joints.
And it's junk.
It's all garbage. And that's
And
another
it's junk.
reason why they set it up. They set up multiple McDonald's and Burger Kings in communities, and they take away grocery stores. In my city, they've taken away 2 major food chains in low impoverished communities. But on every other corner, there's a fast food joint, there's a Muslim store and sugar products. Why? Because now you're
And
going to have
liquor.
another, and
And
liquor,
booze.
a high risk, a high rise in diabetes. You're going to have a very high rise in sick people because they've already set up the food desert. We have to come together and get to the town hall meetings. We have to figure out, why are these major corporations coming into our communities, setting up and leaving? They've got what they want from us. How come our neighbors can't put the money we have together and start our own store?
Exactly. Don't give it to them. Make your own.
They ran by people who look like us, who talk like us, and who appreciate us. A dollar needs to circulate in our communities 10 times over. 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street, a dollar circulated in Black Wall Street 10 times over. It was the wealthiest place on the planet for ebony Americans to live. I say ebony Americans because I'm too disjointed from Africa to be an African American. The moment we take that stigmatization off of our race, that's when we'll understand that we are valuable. We're a valuable asset to this country. We need to start acting like it. We have to have our own distribution companies. We have to start our own gardens. We just do. You don't see too many black farmers around here, you know. I would love to become a farmer. It's a lot of work, but I bet it's fun. I know it stinks.
Well, see now, where I lived, we spent every last penny we had. When we closed on this piece of property out here in the country, we were broke. We couldn't even buy anything to eat, but we were happy. We spent a lot of time. We saved up everything. We did without things to make sure we had the money to make this happen. And of course, right away, we went back to work and we got the, you know, we're not and making money. And our big goal right now is we've paid off credit cards. We've paid off our car. We want to pay off the house in the land so we don't have to worry about it. So my husband's downrange right now working to do that. And I'm working here, setting up the garden and the bee. I'm raising bees and stuff like that. So I'm working here. He's working there. Our goal is to get this paid off. But here in the country, we don't see that racial divide. We're all helping each other. You know, so-and-so needs hay. Well, they bring hay and I've got some eggs. I'll give you some eggs. Or you need some help clearing your land. And we say hello to each other and we talk to each other. And we're the first ones there to help if you need help. It's like being in a different land out here in the country.
And that's America. That's a beautiful thing. The barter system is what built this country. People who had something to offer for their neighbors and their neighbors had something in return. I don't care if it was a pie or a bag of potatoes. Nowadays, you don't have that. Everyone wants to be happy, but no one knows what happiness is. They think happiness comes with wealth. That's not it. My happiness is ownership. My happiness is being able to come and go as I please, knowing that I'm doing the thing. My family is taken care of. My children love me, you know, and people don't worry about those things no more because we have the television. They tell you lies visually. You have MTV, BET, and all the video music shows you got going on. All they do is glorify money, degrading women, alcohol, and that's what they look forward to. Every kid wants to be a rapper. Every young man wants to be a basketball star. Why not own your own distribution company? You don't have to be the star. You know, why not? You know, you want to buy a Cadillac. Why not put your money together and buy a car lot? Why not create a car manufacturing company? That's what I'm about. I'm an entrepreneur. I've taken some gambles, some bad investments, and I made some pretty good investments. You just don't stop.
We've all done that, though. That's how you learn, though.
That's it.
And you have to be willing, you know, we have our kids. on both sides, all of us have to teach our kids, take the gamble, because you're never going to learn. You're never going to know what you can do. And you can be a
Exactly. We're
football
too
star
afraid.
and a basketball star, but what happens when you bust a knee? Your
Yeah,
career in sports is over, and you've got no education. You can't read
yeah.
past the third grade level. What you gonna do then?
And again,
So, you know,
right
that quick
there,
money isn't always the best thing.
you know,
It satisfies you for right then, but it's easily gone.
my uncle always told me, overnight success never lasts long. It never lasts long. You have to work for it. And I keep that in everything I do. You know, I keep that mentality. You can't cash excuses in the bank. Okay? And that's the problem with this country. We have so many excuses. We want to blame everybody for everything. And we just don't know how to get in front of the pressure. We re-educate. That's what we do. We create our own distribution companies. You get a lot of people out here want to buy bundles of hair. You want to go to the Koreans and get your nails done. Why don't you go to a cosmetology school, open up your own business, take out a loan, save your money, and put it back into your community? You go outside of your community to another community with people who don't even speak or look like you, and you give them all your resources. These people are sending that money back to their native land. It's
Yeah.
not coming back to us. You know, and that's where the problem is.
No.
We have to spend in our own community. A lot of people say, oh, we have to buy black. We have to do everything black. Listen, you don't have shit. How can you segregate a race of people with everything? You fight against the people who could fucking help you. Bottom line, we have to bridge the line of communication. We have to stop being afraid of talking to one another about serious issues. Stop talking about what's wrong. Let's talk about how we fix it. We are the solution. And we, the people, can fix
Exactly.
it.
Solutions. I like to do, a lot of times I'll bring up problems, but I have a thing I do on my personal timeline where I'll point out, you know, where people come up with solutions, and my thing is hashtag solutions. We know the problems. Now tell us, now how do you fix it? That's what we need to talk about. We already know the problems. Now we need the solutions. And we can only do that if we work together, and if we stop letting people divide us.
That's it.
We gotta
have to
stop
set
it.
the next generation up
We
for
gotta stop it.
success. The way we're rocking right now, we're not setting the next generation up for success. It's clear and it's
No, we've set them up for failure. Look at this generation.
oh my God, they're wearing fucking dresses and lipstick and they can't wear belts. That's disturbing. You know, so we're making progress.
So you've got 2 new grandbabies, I hear.
I do.
You've got 2 new grandbabies.
2 new grandbabiys. I'm so
Look at that
excited.
smile. You know you're happy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go be with him right now. He loves his pawpaw. He likes
And
when
you're
I
going to be
sing
getting
to
in
him.
on the ground floor teaching them too, aren't you?
Absolutely. You have to. Even my children, all my kids work, and they work their asses off. And they're not gonna be like their father. They're not. I live life backwards. I'm fixing my credit. I'm trying to do things right because I didn't. Although I had people in my circle telling me how to do things, I wanted to do it my way. That's just the way it is. I was a kid that had no direction. I wanted to do it my way. I used the fact that my mother and father had divorced to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. That was wrong. So what I chose to do is to be with my wife. We're not divorced. We have ups and downs, good and difficult times. But that's what's missing, home value. My kids have both parents there. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And yes, I'm a new grandfather and I'm teaching them to run for president. That's it, because you can do it.
That's great. You know, and that's what it's all about. And you've got all these generations that you've got in your house, and you're able to work with all of them and show them a better way, and show them, you know, through our own mistakes, we can show them what not. So
Absolutely. Without making mistakes,
and
you're
then
not
in
progressing.
a couple of days you'll be heading on out to the Moore rally. and
All
spreading your
rallies.
truth on the stage of the Moore Rally.
Second annual. This will be
Mother
my
of all
second time
rallies in
speaking.
Washington, D.C.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I'm excited.
I know you're excited
That
about
just
that.
shows
And I can't go because
life happens.
I'm not able to go because of the fact that I've got animals here and gardens and bees and stuff like that I got to take care of. But we'll certainly be showing, covering all the live events that we find. And we're looking forward to that.
Well, I'm looking.
So what's your message going to be at Moore?
One God, one people. Have to do my biggest thing right now, education. My second goal is to inform people about the importance of the elections coming up in November. We have to vote the Democrats out. I know we beat the pavement about why. I mean, do it. Vote them out, vote them out. We have to teach them why. We have to talk about why. My message at the Mother of All Rallies is about every day.
Okay, well, it looks like we lost Jermine, but I want to thank Jermine for being here. Some really awesome things. Thank you guys for being here. We enjoyed having you here. We hope to see you back. Go ahead and share this out so we can get the message out. Jermine has a fantastic message, and it's about taking those chains off. Taking those chains off your mind and teaching like we used to teach back in the day, where you learned from the family and you paid your way and you paid your dues and you had skin in the game, and nothing is free. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Jermine has shown us exactly and embodies exactly what the USA spirit is all about. That spirit that built this country, that spirit is what will save this country. That spirit is what will bring us all together. And we need to have more talks, and we need to open up to more people, and we need to share our wisdom with others. And we need to pay more attention to what's going on in our communities, and we need to give back to our communities. Everything he said. I mean, we could probably go on forever and ever. I want to thank you guys for being here. You'll be seeing more of me. That may be a good thing or a bad thing, but you'll see me popping up more and more. So we really appreciate you guys coming by. And open your minds. Open your hearts. Spread the wisdom. Help your neighbor. Shut off the propaganda. We the people are going to take this country back. We've got a president that will support that. Let's support him. And with that, I will let you all go. Y'all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you again. God bless.